Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. Hope you're having a great week so far. On this week's Training Tuesday, the October 6th edition, we'll be talking about some updated job aids were posted. Last week, if you recall, we talked about the new small business field at the PO stage. Small purchases, going electronic only, meaning electronic um, submissions only come through BidBuy. We're looking at the first of the year, not allowing emails, just actually going straight through BidBuy. So we're going to discuss that option. A reminder, only SPOs are to apply bid amendments. Every once in a while, we just want to throw in a couple of those things as we get feedback from some questions from agencies. The BidBuy monthly training will be Wednesday of each month. We'll leave that all for the foreseeable future, but our next BidBuy monthly training will be next Wednesday. We have our fun fact of it. Oh, and also I didn't have it on this slide, but we're going to work through the search file function that we walked through last week. Just as we had some questions about it, so I figured, you know what, let's just show it one more time. It's quick and it's easy and it's helpful. Okay, so first up, new job aids have been updated. So for that new small business field that we've talked about the last week and maybe the week prior to that, just want to let you know that now, as always, I know you guys might be sick of me saying this, but remember, every time you go out to do a procurement in BidBuy, just jump on and go to our website and make sure that you're using the most updated version. When we make changes, we always add the version number. So for instance, this morning I added the IFB job aid, and it is version 21.2. So this new custom column is now a required field on all POs. So this is that, are you utilizing a small business vendor? It's currently defaulted to no, and we discussed the reasoning for that last week, but beginning October 15th, it will default to being blank, and an answer is going to be required to be entered at the PO. And the reason why we did that is we wanted to be able to certainly provide enough outreach and communication to you guys to know that if a PO was written ready for approval status and then we make something default to being blank, it would have to be disapproved and go back all the way through the approval paths. And we didn't want to do that to you. So we defaulted it to be no. So any that was in the ready for approval status you wouldn't receive an error and have to disapprove. So that way those POs could keep moving along and there wouldn't be a roadblock there. But beginning October 15th, so next week, it will be default to being blank. So those new POs that you're going to be creating, at that point, they will be default to blank and you'll have to select. And the reason why we're making it blank versus defaulting to no is just to make sure that that field is being captured. And really what it is it makes it easier for the small business reporting next year for you to be able to have that very good data and specific information. So be sure to check if you're utilizing a small business set-aside vendor for the reporting accuracy. And this is going to be included on all procurement. So anything that has a PO is going to have that required field. So small purchase, IFB, RFP, sole source, releases off master, you have that as a required field. And it's only at the PO now. So if you weren't with us last year or last week, that question used to be at the bid. Now it is only at the PO because, of course, when you're at a bid, you wouldn't know if you're utilizing a small business set-aside vendor. And at the bottom here, this is just exactly what it looks for. I just took a screenshot this morning. You'll have that question, is this a small business set-aside procurement? Select, that would be carried over from the bid, so you won't have to change anything there at the PO. But you'll have that field that are you utilizing an active registered small business set-aside vendor? And you'll have the option to select yes or no in the dropdown. Okay, so I know we walked last week, but I want to do it again just because to show that it is so easy. Just check. How do I know if I'm awarding a small business set-aside vendor? You select the vendor ID link in the vendor tab, and I'm going to go out to BidBuy real quick and show you guys exactly how to do this as we did last week. And so within 2 clicks, you're going to be able to see if this vendor is a small business set-aside vendor. And once again, the reason why we're doing this is so that the reporting functionality, which is statutorily mandated, you have that very good information, that data at the time of this procurement, was the vendor a small business set-aside vendor? Now, if we don't have that information, you could run a report next year and they either could be in this small business set-aside program at that time or not, but maybe they were in the program last year when you actually made this award. So we want you guys to get credit for that. So that's why we're adding that field in there, so you can have the proper information. So you'll select the vendor ID link on the vendor tab. It brings a pop, and then you select terms and categories, and then you can see there at the bottom of the page if the vendor is a small business set vendor or not. So let me go show you that real quick. Get out of here. I'm train here. So let's go to, that's a bits in progress. Let's go to a PO. Let's see. Go. Okay, in that vendor tab. So this would be as you're creating your in progress. This is a PO that's already been sent, but the functionality is still there. So in that vendor tab, I click vendor tab. I have the vendor ID, which is here on the left-hand side. It brings a pop-up there, and you can see that there's terms and categories. I select terms and categories, and then on the very bottom, it's the last question, and I can see small business set aside. Are you registered? And that's yes. And that's automatically, you can see this, it's populated by the IPG interface. So the vendor can't go in and change that. That's a nightly interface between Illinois Procurement Gateway and BidBuy. So easy enough. 2 clicks, you check that, and then you know exactly that you're going to, your reporting is going to be the exact information next year, or really anytime your agency runs that report. It doesn't necessarily have to be at the end of the year. I think agencies, knowing that that's there, you can run those reports. You could run it monthly, quarterly, every 2 quarters, just to see where you're at towards getting to that 10% small business goal. So do we have any questions on that again? Okay, I'll move. Okay, next up. So we're looking at small purchases over $2,000, just making electronic submissions in BidBuy only required. So there would enter pricing items tab, and we're currently looking at doing this at the first of the year. So we would have a few months to do training, to get to get communication out to all agency personnel, as well as all our vendors. Provide videos on how to make it easy, so you could even attach that as a link to the solicitations. So that'll be something that we'll be able to do. So currently looking at the first year, and we want to talk about this and kind of get some feedback. But so the benefits really from an agency standpoint is you wouldn't have to enter pricing on behalf of vendors, thereby saving time, minimizing any chance of error. If a vendor emails something and then it's, the agency doesn't put in the right pricing that was there, it could slow up procurements and just, reduce any chances of that error if the vendor is putting in the pricing. All the procurement information would be in one place. There's no chance of missing an email quote that should have been entered, as well as then that email needs to be a part of the procurement file. So really what this comes down to is it's less work for our agencies, less work for our procurement personnel as well. And then from the BidBuy perspective, or from the vendor perspective, excuse me, most of these vendors have now been in the system for a few years, for a couple years. BidBuy isn't no longer a brand new system, and honestly, many vendors are submitting in BidBuy anyway, so it's not going to be it wouldn't be much of a change for them to begin with. However, we obviously we're going to let them know and give them a date when that would be currently happening. So we just want to get some communication now. That's something that we're leaning towards. Of course, and all of their quote activity that they submitted would all be in one place. So that would be that we're looking at. We have a question. Are you saying this will be required and faxes will no longer be accepted? Yeah, so that's exactly what we're looking at. We're looking at not accepting emails or faxes, just because, let's be honest, if you work a fax machine, you can attach a document in BidBuy, as well as these vendors are attaching documents in an email. It is just as simple as that. Within BidBuy. But yes, that's exactly what we're looking at, is just getting away from allowing, of course, we're not allowing paper submissions anyway, but getting away from allowing emails as well as faxes. So there'll be more talk about with this, more to discuss. We just wanted to be able to clue you guys in on where we're going with this, and just make everything, kind of pull it all into the 21st century, and it makes it a little bit easier to on agency personnel. Like I said, it's less work for you guys to have to take quotes and enter them in. Okay, so for our BidBuy, we did do this last week. I wanted to go back in and we had some questions about it, and it's easy enough, once again, that it's good just to show it again. So let me go back into our train environment, and let me go to a bid that I had in progress. And okay, so this is, we're going to go in and attach documents. If you're attaching documents like templates, or I see this being used for the allow electronic submissions only document, as well as blank forms A, blank forms B, for the vendor to be able to download. You don't necessarily, when you're adding files, you can click add file, and you don't necessarily have to go select choose file and go out into your computer. You can just select search file, and then you can search for documents that have already been attached within BidBuy. And so you don't even have to leave the BidBuy system in order to attach those documents. So I think this is going to be a really helpful feature. So you can select any of these, documents criteria here. Mostly what I envision us doing is typing in the name, and then putting in, blank forms B or blank forms A, and searching. And then you're going to see another option. Actually, you could upload it by, you could select your own name in the drop down here. That would be an option as well. There we go. So forms B, I can go in and select forms B, save and continue, or save and exit. Save and continue would keep me on here, but I want to save and exit. And then now that document is there, automatically showing blank forms B. So easy enough. That electronic submission only document, those things that just need to be are for the vendor to see. It's an easy way to attach your documents without having to go out into your computer and attach other documents. You certainly still can do that. It's just something, it's a feature that we wanted to highlight, and we discussed last week. Okay, so let me go back to our slides. So our next monthly training is going to be October 14th, next Wednesday. You can utilize the information here. Let's see, we have another document or a question here. Is there ever going to be an enhancement to not automatically show documents to vendors? Well, I'm not sure if that's an enhancement to not automatically show, because a lot of times we do need to show documents to vendors. I could look into potentially changing that, but then you'd have to check those documents vendor, but I can look into that. So for our BidBuy trainings, we changed things a little bit from previous months. Last month we went with this scenario where we moved one of the sessions to the afternoon. It was great because it allowed us to spend a little bit more time and have a little bit more time between sessions. So at 9:30 we'll do an introduction, overview, general navigation. 10:45 small purchase under $10,000. Take a break, come back for after lunch, and do small purchases $10,000 and over, and then finish up with our last session for releases off master. You can just select the from the slide here, or you can join by phone with that access code. So just a heads up for next month, the normally for moving ahead will be on the second Wednesday of each month. However, in November, that second Wednesday is Veterans Day, so it will be on at Thursday, November 12th instead. And then moving forward, it'll be the second Wednesday of each month. Can we share the link with procurement people not at this meeting? Absolutely. So if you go to any of those slides that are in our Training Tuesday slides that we post each week, that link is going to be the same. And so you can link, you can copy and paste from this slide. You can, or better yet, invite them to our Training Tuesdays so they can be a part of this. But yes, definitely. So do we have any other questions? Sorry to be a pain, but December 16th is the third Wednesday. Ha! You're not being a pain at all. That's why we have great people on this call. It will be the second Wednesday, so that would be the 9th, I guess. Update my slide for. I'll update the slide before I share it out. How about that? But thank you for picking that up for me. And another question: can we do a renewal training? Absolutely. Yep. We could add to the list. Maybe we can do how to do a renewal next Tuesday. Oh, I missed a question earlier. It will limit competition. We can discuss this about so this is the electronic submission only going through BidBuy. In terms of limiting competition, I think that could just be a discussion that we can have. But if we have all our vendors a lot of vendors are utilizing the system anyway, as well as providing training and plenty of opportunity to allow them to, because they have to be in BidBuy anyway, right? So, but yeah, we can discuss that further. Okay, and so our last slide. Today is National Coaches Day, so if you had a pivotal coach in your life, maybe shoot them a text or a Facebook message or something to let them know. And on a personal, important day of mine, my childhood crush was Elizabeth Shue, and today is her birthday. So, happy birthday to Elizabeth Shue. All right, everyone. Yeah, no registration is required for the Wednesday. For any of those, we want to make sure that they're open for anybody. You can just click the link and join us, and it is the same WebEx link for the entire day. You can't join us for each session. That's totally fine. I understand people will be coming and going as needed, and that's why we try to stick to that agenda and time so that people know if they show up at 1 o'clock, that's going to be the small business or the small purchase greater than $10,000. So, all right. Seems like we're getting some good feedback on Elizabeth Shue. All right. I got another question. Is there a way to remove the vendors that have gone out of business in BidBuy? I mean, you can remove them from the vendor list. However, I'd be concerned about doing that. I guess my question would be: is there a reason why? I guess maybe you might get that. Do you get an error or something if the vendor is in BidBuy but out of business? Or I guess my question would be why would you need to remove a vendor if they've gone out of business anyway? It just goes to the vendor's email. So it may help with me specifically on that, but be careful to go into the vendor's bidders list and start removing any vendor. Just opens up a door that we don't want to go through. All right, thanks everybody. Have a great rest of your week. The slides will be posted with the updated December date, correct? But we'll see you next Tuesday. Thank you.